Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So I just got back from the lumberyard and I picked up this load of 8/4 ash that we're going to be using for a whole bunch of the upcoming projects, or as many of the upcoming projects that I want to do as I possibly can. I am running very low on money and ash is a very good wood to work with. Plus, I have very much so fallen in love with these two stain colors that I bought from Tried and True. The more that I've kind of ruminated on them and kind of sat here and looked at them, I actually really love the look of both the Java and the dark walnut stain. So kind of the big reason why I'm going hardcore with ash at the moment is because it's a much less expensive wood compared to like white oak, walnut, cherry, maple, those kinds of woods. And I can actually get some really cool results with it because I'm willing to stain it, unlike a lot of other woods. So I went and picked up as much as I could afford, which is these 5 8/4 boards. And we're just gonna be using this for as many projects and that as I possibly can. So as you can tell by the title of this video, we're obviously not starting a new project today. What I wanted to talk about instead is why you can see a pile here of 8/4 stock. Why I wouldn't go and buy, some 4/4, some 8/4, stuff like that, a little bit of a mixture. And the reason is when I'm buying general stock, stuff to just have in the shop to work on, I much prefer buying 8/4 stock. And just in general, if I can buy 8/4 stock and work with that, that's gonna be way better off in my opinion. There are some exceptions which we'll talk about later, but for the most part, I'd much prefer to work with 8/4 stock. Now, for those of you that might be new to the terminology, 8/4 stock just means 2-inch thick stock. So this ash that I have in front of me is proper 8/4 stock, so it's 1 15/16 of an inch thick. You can also sometimes find rough 8/4 stock, which is like this piece of walnut here that is just over 2 inches thick, which is really nice because you actually can get a 2-inch piece out of that. So one of the predominant reasons why I prefer working with 8/4 stock is because you generally get much better quality wood. Now, this is going to be very subjective, depending if you're buying from a sawmill or a lumberyard, what lumberyard or sawmill you're buying from. But in general, your 8/4 stock is going to be a much better quality of wood. Now, the big thing to understand here is that sometimes this is the case and sometimes it's not. And again, it all depends on where you buy from. But there is a very good explanation as to why 8/4 stock is generally better. So using these two pieces of cherry here, you can see that this is how a log would normally be set up. So your top cut is generally going to be a 4/4 piece of stock. So on your 4/4 stock, you're going to have way higher chances of getting a lot of sapwood on one side. In some cases, you're going to get full sapwood on one side of a 4/4 board, but you're also going to get more of it on the edges, and all because it's more of an outside cut. Now, obviously, every piece of 4/4 stock is not going to be that outside cut because that's not really how logs work. But in a lot of cases, sawmills are going to prioritize getting the best stock they possibly can. So from the outer edges of the log, where you can only really get these narrow boards, they're not going to bother taking an 8/4 chunk out of there. They're only going to take a 4/4 chunk and sell that off. Then once you get into the areas of the log that are a little bit wider and a little bit better stock, that's where sawmills are going to start taking the 8/4 stock from, and that's why in general I think it's better. Now, I can very easily prove this if I had plenty of money to throw around, but I think the two woods that highlight this the best are walnut and ash. So from the lumberyard that I buy from, I only ever buy 8/4 walnut from them. I never buy 4/4 walnut from them because in general, I think I've talked about this in the past videos, their walnut stock is very, you're really gambling with it. Sometimes you're going to get beautiful pieces, sometimes you're going to get horrible pieces, all because it's the same rough sawn walnut that you can see here. So I can't tell on this piece of wood what is sapwood and what is heartwood. So from the lumberyard that I buy from, when I first started buying from them, I did buy some 4/4 walnut, and I found that a lot of the pieces turned out to just be solid sapwood. So I swore off ever buying 4/4 walnut from them. Because in general, when the sawmill gets to cutting that 8/4 stock, it's going to be well below that sapwood area, so you're going to get much less sapwood. It's again just going to be a better quality and cut of wood. The exact same thing goes for ash. Ash is a lot like maple, where you're not working with ash heartwood, you're working with ash sapwood. And the problem that I've run into in the past when I bought 4/4 ash stock is that the grain is just crazy in it because it's the youngest part of the tree. The grains have not matured at all. They're still super wavy and crazy and all. And in general, 4/4 ash stock, in my opinion, is nearly unworkable, especially if you want to do things like hand planing or just kind of any hand tool work in general. 4/4 ash stock is just an absolute nightmare. Whereas when you get into the 8/4 ash stock, you're still working with that lighter ash sapwood, but it has matured slightly. So your grain is moving a little bit straighter through the tree. Overall, you're getting much cleaner, much tighter packed grains compared to the really young sapwood that's generally going to make up your 4/4 stock. And interestingly enough, if you look at a pile of 4/4 ash next to a pile of 8/4 ash, and I only really noticed this today when I was at the lumberyard, there is a significant color difference to them. So that 4/4 ash is generally going to be a little bit on the paler, yellower side, whereas the 8/4 ash is going to be a little bit more on the golden side. It's going to have darker undertones to it. And that's all because that 8/4 stock is just coming from a more mature part of the tree. So in general, again, like I said, the 8/4 stock is generally just going to be better quality woods. The other reason why I much prefer working with 8/4 stock is because you can get way better yield out of it. So as I've matured in my woodworking, I found that I don't like sticking to just using 3/4 inch stock for all my normal pieces and then using, 1 3/4 inch thick pieces for like my legs that I can typically get out of 8/4 stock. I've started introducing 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 5/8 inch, all this kind of stuff, all these different random sizes in that into my projects. And the problem that you can run into when you start resawing down 4/4 stock is that your yield that you're getting out of it is not great. If you need a piece that is 5/8 of an inch thick and you try to get that out of a piece of 4/4 stock, you're going to be wasting a whole bunch of material, or you're going to be left with a very thin amount of material. You're going to end up throwing it in your scrap pile. It's going to sit there for years probably. Whereas with 8/4 stock, you could actually get 3 pieces that are 5/8 of an inch thick out of them, and that's going to give you a much better yield overall. Because again, taking a piece of 8/4 stock and milling it down to 1/4 inch, just because I take 1/4 of an inch off this piece of 8/4 stock, there's still a whole bunch of material left on there that I can resaw down, I can make into other pieces, I can do a ton of stuff with it after I take off that little bit of material. Whereas with 4/4 stock, once you start removing bits of material, you just make that piece less and less useful. And that's one of the things you'll find as you get more advanced in your woodworking is the bigger the piece of wood that you can get, the more stuff you can usually do with it. So if I could buy 12 or 16/4 stock, then I probably would do that. Because again, there you have so many options. And the only thing that you need for doing this is a decent bandsaw. You know, my bandsaw from Lee Valley was about $1,500, and it lets me do all of this resawing that I need to do, which is just amazing. So definitely, if you don't have a bandsaw in your shop, get one, and then you can start working with a more 8/4 stock and getting better yield and working with different thicknesses, all that kind of stuff. So that's a little bonus tip right there. Now, my one exception to this rule is with white oak. Now, this is specifically from the lumberyard that I buy from. I find that the 4/4 and 8/4 white oak are basically the same quality, and there's not really a substantial difference between them. Another interesting example is with maple, you're going to see a very similar result as you would with ash. So your 4/4 stock is going to have a little bit crazier grain, you're going to experience more tear in that. But if you go to 8/4 stock, you're going to get a little bit cleaner, a little bit more mature wood that's slightly easier to work compared to kind of your normal maple that a lot of people are used to. So if you have access to a good bandsaw and the ability to resaw pieces, I highly recommend getting yourself some 8/4 stock and trying to use that on a project, because I can guarantee you'll very quickly pick up on this. This took me a couple of years to really realize what the difference was between, you know, the 4/4 stock and the 8/4 stock. And this is kind of my go-to rule now. If I'm buying stock to just have in the shop like I did here, you know, I don't know what these pieces are going to turn into. I don't know what project I'm going to use them on. They're just kind of general stock that I want to have around because I know I have a whole bunch of projects coming up here. And so when I'm doing that, I will always buy 8/4 stock because I know that I can turn these pieces of wood into anything that I need. If I need post legs for a project, I can get that out of these pieces. If I need a 3/4 inch stretcher, I know I can get that out of these pieces. If I need a bunch of 3/8 thick divider panels, again, I know that I can get a whole bunch of those out of this 8/4 stock. So that's in general why I prefer working with 8/4 stock. And if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to hit me up in the comments down below. But anyways, guys, let me know if you like these a little bit more, just kind of random informative videos, and I'll try to do them more often. But as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.